Today's Friday, January 24th. This is webinar number 102. Thank goodness
Hey,
for you coming
a
on
new high.
because hey, hi George. Um, so Andy, all yours. I know this is going to be short and sweet, and if people come on and ask questions, and this is the place.
Awesome. Good morning. I know I've been hiding, been out in the woodwork, squashing bugs and doing different things for a while. Kind of rearing my head up a little bit. But one of the things that keeps cropping up is, and I know that a lot of, especially working in older languages, have started looking at using template controls and super controls and things like this. And what I want to kind of go over a little bit is how you can take advantage of those template controls and basically write everything you need to have done inside of them by using execute code, redirection, redirection, and writing local procedures that you can override if you need to. Well, we got to get into our head that is basically the entire system that's developed by WinDev is object oriented. It's all object oriented. Everything's an object. Everything's things like this. So what happens is that you end up having the ability then of writing your own objects that you can throw on a screen, rename, and utilize very easily. Quite with the classes that I built, or however you want to use them. But you can make some common controls that you can use everywhere. Now, two of the common controls that I use extensively is add, change, and delete button, as well as a save cancel button. Okay, so both of these are here. Now, one of the things that we've got on here is that on the add, change, and delete, you can see down here that I've got a lot of local procedures that are being processed by this. So we got the add post record, pre-record, add the record itself, delete the post record, delete the pre-record, all this coming down. This is somewhat based on the original stuff done by Glenn Rathke. Glenn was doing Hyperfile, which all worked out very nicely for Hyperfile, but it didn't fit my template, about my class methodologies. And so I took some of the things that he did, and I, expanded upon it to be able to use here. So what I did was created a little template called CCS add, change, delete. And I created all of these stored procedures, or these little procedures inside of there to do different things. One of them is show form, hide form. I got the post CRUD, pre CRUD, update record, all the different procedures that need to be done. And now the deal is if anybody's used these before, they know that when you put them out there onto a screen, it doesn't do a whole lot unless you tell it what needs to happen. So let's go through the process here first. Inside the control template itself, what I've done is created a bunch of local variables to hold the different values for the indirection to work with. File class, what file I'm working with, what record I'm working with, the form name, so I know what window or something that this is being called from, what table that is being called from, that would be the same as the Hyperfile table name. How this is being opened, because I have two different methods for opening this, is either on the same screen or opening up a window itself, a pop-up window for it. What control receives focus when you come into that? I've got to have the record's primary field, how I'm going to refresh this. I want the save cancel name, and you're going to understand why I want the save cancel name, because these two templates actually work in conjunction with each other. The save cancel name here will send information to the the ACD, or the add change delete, will save information to the save cancel button. And whether the form state is a certain way, whether that is either a open sister or an open modal, and whether or not I need to move any controls. Now that has to do with the show and the hide bit, but we'll go with this as it is. Now, other than that, the only thing that I've got in there is, if I've got a few fields in here that if I don't have a control to hide, then basically if I have one, if I put a value in that field, then I make that visible equals true. So let's go through a little bit of the different procedures before we go through the rest of this. You can see the button. All it does is call add record, change calls update record, delete calls the delete record. And here's where we get into the indirection code. Okay. Since I use classes, and what I'll do here is we'll kind of go through and see what this code actually would look like if I typed it out. The way that I went about doing this, number one, is I actually put in the physical code necessary first. So I actually wrote the code. This right here, originally, in order to know what I needed to put in here, was my class equals new class record as example. So if I'm looking at the classes that I got to work with and all my file classes, if I was going to do language rec, this would be lang record equals new language rec class. Okay? So if I take that and put it on the %2 and that and put it on %1, I'm good to go. Okay? That's the way it works. So I know what I need to do now, if I have this sitting here, is that I need to specify a variable to hold that value and a variable to hold that value in order to put it here. Well, those are set up in here. As you can see that they're set up in here as file class prefixes and things like that. So let's get rid of this. And here it is. So if I fill in the field of CRUD record class prefix and CRUD record class, that fills in my %1 and %2. Then I execute that code and I end up doing the same thing as this right here. Okay? Now that makes it more generic. That makes it generic that I can put it on any screen, and all I do is fill in these variables, and that execute code will do exactly what it's supposed to do. Then I call a local procedure pre-CRUD, and I call another local procedure for any pre-record adds, and I find out if I've got a focus control with it and the open type equals modal, then I open up the variable form name and I send it my file class information and I send it an equate for add. For those that have came from our prior world, I keep the same format, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1 is add, 2 is change, 3 is delete, 4 is view only, and I made equates in there for add, change, and delete, or constants for those, and so it really makes it fairly easy to do. Then I've got the add post record for things after I've added it, and the add after I'm done with the entire process, which is a common thing called post-CRUD. If we go into the update, we're in essence doing exactly the same thing. As you can see, we got the pre-CRUD. We got any information to do before we change the record, so we have anything locally. I'm doing the same thing. I'm sending the action type to the save cancel, so that way it knows what's going on, and I'm opening the screen the same way. and going through it, no problem. So, how do you put this to use is the biggest key right now. So we want to kind of see how we're going to put this to use, and let me go find us a nice window to use this on. There we go. There we go. Now this here has the form and the browse both in the same window. So you can see that I've got the show hide on there as well as the save and cancel. And what I've done here is I've changed the name. Just a second. When you click on the control template and rename it control ACD as an example, you can see all of the local procedures that came over with it. If I need to add any records or add any local code to this, I can easily do so by editing these. And that's the idea behind this. I've got the buttons as well as the edit. The biggest thing about it is I first of all have to edit and put in all of the different pieces. So at the declaration side, I give it the controls. My control to hide is my super control. The control to move, this all has to do with the move stuff. Let's go to this. Now this is the news group list, is my file class prefix. The focus control is the edit. The news group rec class is my record class. Class prefix is rec. Current sysid is my primary system, primary ID of that record. Save cancel is the control, and table news groups is the table that I'm updating. And I'm going to take you up to the top of this to show you those as well. As you can see, I got ng list is my news group class, rec is my news group rec class, and I set my current window. Okay. So this is where I'm instantiating the two classes that I'm going to be able to use, and then I set the global declarations. The same thing happens in the control save cancel. When you're on the save cancel itself, and you go into this code, we also set all of the global variables in that code where we tell it this is our control hide, this is our file class prefix, this is our primary key value. That's so that way when we edit or change, we know what we're updating. The record class prefix, what column name it is out of the table, what our table name is, and whether we're updating the table is going to be true or false, which means that actually does some additional code for this. Now, whether you're using the classes like I do or using queries or using a hyperfile, it works the same. The difference is what fields you need here. You may not need as many as I do because I do different things with the classes that y'all don't do. But on queries or something like this, you can set it up to where you're passing in the query name and let it do the add, change, delete, or you're passing in the hyperfile name and you're letting it do the add, change, delete. All of those are fairly straightforward that way. Okay. So in doing this, now we've got all the execute answers, and we come down and we've got all the code that we're running to save these items. Okay. We've set up a string called rec save. We've done the screen to source already in the code. We've got any pre-save procedures. We execute the code to do the save based upon the values that we have set up there. We reset the fields to be inactive. Same thing on the update. It's everything is done. Only thing I'm needing to do is fill in these fields. That's all I fill in. And the rest of the code all works as needed. So here's where you can utilize this based upon proven code and use it throughout. So let's go back through this add record. Okay. We did the new class, we built that, we come through and we set the focus. Now what happens here is we send to the add, change, delete, whether it's going to be we're sending to the save forms. Let me get this straight in my head. I'm sorry if I get anybody confused. The save cancel needs to know whether it's an add, change, or delete, especially on the same screen or even on a form. You need to know. So what happens here is that one of the code items within the add, change, and delete when it calls the form is actually it tells this form whether it's an add, change, or delete. And by doing so, that is the assignment of that section. Hang on, a section of code. So here, let me get back down here and I'll show you. Okay, so now we're going to go in here. Go to add pre-record. All right. What it's going to do right here is it's going to set the action type. For all those do the list box and form type combination, you know that the minute you click on a record in your table, you're in change mode, or you can be in change mode with it. If you do an insert button, then you need to be an insert, and if you do a delete, you process the delete however you wish to do it, whether you want to call up the form or not call up the form. That's up to you, either direction. What I do there is I tell it the %1 is the control save cancel name. So whatever I named this field here, or this control here, control save cancel, then, let's see my back. Yeah, no, here's where I was. Then I'm going to send it what kind of action I'm doing, and right now it's a change for an update record. On a insert, it's going to be a add instead. So that way, the save button, when I click it, it knows that it's updating. It's not adding. It's doing the right action to it when I hit the save button, and that's how that works. I actually send it so that way its variable knows what it's doing. So that's how the two work together. Does that confuse anybody yet or not? Probably. So then it runs the rest of this code here and then finishes up. Same thing on the update side. We're going to send delete records different, but on the insert side, we're sending that the action type is an add, and we're executing that code. So we're using Indirection to set up all of these items here, all of these little local procedures, so that way when we move to the screen, we can do whatever we want to do. Now, here's the fun part, or the key part about this. If I have to do something special through this process, let's say that one of the items is that I am the user and I'm needing to add a certain thing to it based upon my ID. Well, now you've got some pre-information or some linking data that has to be assigned to it. When you click on this, I've got all of these items here for the pre-post and section, as well as the save and the add. What I do here on the pre-save procedure and the post procedure, or the add section up here, I can go to the add pre-record, I can right mouse click and overload the code of the procedure. When that happens, that's going to give me access to be able to do whatever I want to do with that procedure. Let me get back to this again. A lot of times I do it from over here because it's easier. IWD scripts. And you can also reach it from here. If I go to the controls, then I have all of the procedures and everything I want from there. So I'm going to go now to the local procedures, and I'm going to go to the add pre-record. Okay. Well, it was supposed to. Let me overload the code again. There we go. So you can see now what I've got is an execute ancestor here. And what that's telling me that is that I'm going to execute this section of code on the update record. That's what it's going to do. I have a couple of choices. If there's certain things that I need it to do, I need it to run I needed to run certain things. See, we got the update prerecord here. I got the add prerecord. So what I want to do here is tell it what kind of fields that I want to change or link to. So if in this instance here, we are using news group. Yeah. News group list. If I have a field here, subscribe, that I want to set to true automatically, I set that to true there.
Do you do that before?
And what will happen is that will then run that before it runs the rest of the code and assign it to the record as it inserts. And that's how you do that. What'd you say, Arnold?
No, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
You prime it before the execute ancestor, right?
Yeah, because see, you've already got the pre-crud and everything like this, so you need to make sure you're done. Oh, that's an update record. I'm sorry. You gotta make sure you do it in here. See, the add pre-record is right here. Mm-hmm. So you've already created the new instance of that record. You basically, that would be the same as a reset on your hyperfile. Okay. On hyperfile, you would have actually reset, and whatever %1 would be the file name of there. Well, you got to do this afterwards, because if you do it before, well, it's going to reset and it'll be gone. Okay. So what I want to do is this right here, and then I can do whatever else I want to do. I can pre-fill any fields that I want to fill. My parents for those fields, lookups, whatever I want it to be. As a default, I put it all there, and then when it goes to the form, those are already done. Okay? Because this is all before you hit the form side itself. So if I'm needing to actually change and I want to have the area or the owner preset or private or suspended preset in there, then I can do it in that area. I can set the thing to be ng rec dot private. Let's see. Should be a private in here. Now let's do the created. That's the created date. Okay, now I've set the news group created already to sys date time. Then I'm going to set, there's the private equals true. And what happens is when the form pops up, that will be already checked. You can uncheck it, but it's already defaulted to be checked as you open up the form, is what the deal is there. Okay. Now this makes it consistent whether I'm on this screen or another screen. I've got the areas. I don't have to write that code again. I fill in about 6 or 7 items on the field list on the variables, and that's all I have to do. Then everything else, and this works the same on desktop or web. Both of them will do the same thing. Allows me to do both the same. Okay. Save cancel, you got the same situation with it. If I went to the save cancel, that's in the super control, and I go to the local procedures there, I can tell it that just before you save, I can and see, I've already done something here. Oh, there it is. We're going to overload the procedure. And what it's going to do is, see, there's your pre-saved procedure. Now, here's where your difference is because this one here is internal into that saved procedure. So this has to be done right here. You've already done the screen to source, so now You've actually moved it from the screen to the records. Okay. Now, what does that mean? I can actually do is if rec.newsgroup private info, you are aware you made it okay. So now I can do that before it executed anything. I could actually tell it at this point, do a yes, no. I can do a return to capture and go to that field name. That should be a checkbox, I believe it is. Come on. Yeah, I was there. I was there. Fine. Put it there. Running this thing. There we go. Okay. And it would do that before the save procedure is done, so I can actually put in all my edit checks there as well. Okay. And what I do on this is I have another procedure that I run for edit checking all those records, and it allows me then to say that, you know, before they hit the save button, you know, all that stuff's checked, but if you need to check anything just before that happens, you can do it. Obviously, if you do it after the execute procedure or ancestor, then it's too late. It's already saved. You're in this section right here is where you're at. You're basically looking into that procedure there, is what you're doing before it does the rec save itself. Okay. Now, the biggest thing I'm trying to show you here is that, number one, you can get fairly complicated in what you can do within a template. You can put all the procedures for the template. You can put all the functionality you want for the template. You can do everything you need to do for that button or function. You can put in a super control in there and have fields in it and do all of the editing for the fields. Like one thing I was going over with someone else was he was having an entire set of date fields in there. So he was validating the date fields. He was entering the date fields. He was doing everything he wanted with dates inside that control template. He could put that on any screen with a date field on there and do so. One of the things that come in is that let's say you're doing validation on entering checks. So you drop in a date field in there for it to do the checks. Well, part of the date field is just checking the range of the date on the check. Well, it can't be over 2 days old or a week old, or it can't be in the future. Well, why write that code every time? Make it a template, write the code to check it inside the template, and then when you drop it on and name it and then link it to your local variable, then all of that edit checking is already done before you ever leave the field. Okay, we kind of get the concept of what I'm looking for here. So I can come over here, and let's take that as an example and do something with it. Templates control, got a new template of control. I'm going to go ahead and we will, don't care about the skin template at the moment. And I'm going to do a creation. Drop that down. Give me a date. There it is. That's the one I'm looking for. Let's put you right here. Okay. Make you a little bigger. Let's go to code. Okay. So now what I can do there is say if my date one is less than let's see, date. Well, let's do this. Let's see. Because we don't want to write the the correct code. What we want to do is we want to do if, let's see, execute code if date 1 is less than %1, and we need double quotes around that because we're going to fill it in with a value instead. Then return to capture date 1. Okay. Now we got that code there. We don't need that extra one. Okay, we're going to go to object. And we're going to go F2 on the whole thing. And we got a double declaration of date value is date. Okay. Now, the only thing I've done here is if I use this anywhere, all I have to do is assign the date value of this to run it. So I'm going to save this. Call it control date. Okay. Now, got a little syntax there. It doesn't like this quotes around it. Fine, we'll do it this way. Yeah, we'll do it that way. What we'll do here. String build. And that's going to be my, what are you doing? Thinks it's in 2 different fields. There, that's my date value. There, that'll fix it. Okay, so now when I use this thing, let's go back over here, my templates control, there's my date. Let's go to my news groups. If I want to put that date in there, drop it down, it drops my date in there, and the only thing I need to do is then go to code, and I need to go to the end of the initialization. It's date value equals date sys, as an example. So what that's going to do now is if it's less than today, it won't let you enter it in the date. It'll give you a return to capture. That's what it's going to do, just straightforward. Okay. Any questions on that? Now that's one that's very simple. Of course, you can make that more involved if you want to. But the add, change, and delete are probably more explicit, more extensive in what they can do. And I strongly suggest that everyone takes a look at the control templates, because if you're filling in essence, the same code after buttons over and over and over, you should make it a control template. You really should. If you got lookups and things like this that you're doing the same code in over and over again, make it a control template. Use indirection with it, and it will make your life a lot faster and a lot easier. Now the question is okay, how do you go about doing that? Straightforward. What I would do is write the code exactly how you need it. So that way you know how it works with the fields or whatever you need. Then you can grab some buttons like these. Let's say I did those buttons. I can click both of those. I can right mouse click. I can go to refactoring, and I can tell it to create a control template from the selection. Now I've already got all the code I need in there, and this is what I did originally, was that I created the correct code with everything I wanted for this, including the procedures locally. All of the procedures that were there for the pre-CRUD, post-CRUD, all of that procedure stuff were all local procedures. I created a template, and then I copied all the local procedures over to the template. Changed it to use Indirection, and it was correct. Made some minor modifications as you move forward, but basically that's all I did, and from then on, it was very straightforward and done. The other thing that's good about this is that if I change something on the template, I add another variable to it as an example. Any change that's done here, when you save it, will automatically ask you if you wish to update all of your windows with that same thing. So literally, I can come in here and add in SC. Sorry, I got to check it out. Add that in there. When I save it, and I save this, do you want to update the project windows or use this template? Yes. It's going to tell me the two that's using it. It's going to update them. And now I can go into here and where I have all this, let's see, that was a save cancel. I'm sorry, I was on the wrong one. Not going to do me any good. I can do SC new var. There it is. Equals false. And now it's on every screen that has that, and I can use it across the board. So if I changed a bit of code in one of the updates areas or something like that, then it would also propagate through the entire project the same way if you wanted it to, unless you overrode it. So templates to me are really powerful. And I'm not saying that you go hog wild with them, but they're really powerful to use. They're really easy to use. And if you're doing a lot of the same things over and over and over again, then it would be very good for you to take those buttons and create a template out of them, move whatever code that's working with them to there, and then use Indirection to bring that up to par. So it'll bring it up to what you need them to use in whatever screens you need them in, with use the right tables and information that you're looking for. Any questions on this? Did I get everybody totally confused?
Damn straight.
I'm sorry.
No, I don't think so. People that know templates make sense.
Yeah, well, you are writing for what the end result is, not what you're currently working on.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that made it kick was the indirection. Without it, it would be useless to me.
Oh, it's powerful. Yeah. Well, you have to have indirection, to do templates. Otherwise, you do one at a time. That doesn't make sense.
Right. And it's like I said, you can learn something about execute code. Execute code's cool. String build some stuff in there, execute it, works like a charm, is what it does, Brian. And I do a lot of that in especially the add change, I believe it is. If we look at the local procedures of add change, see, I'm using execute code to actually call the, and what it's doing is it's running this right here. It's running a statement for my classes is what it does. So it's the same as typing in rec data dot save record and put in whatever I'm looking for. Yeah, it's really some powerful stuff. It really is. Probably the more the update and the insert are probably the most complicated out of the two.
Well, you've done a good job with this small presentation on templates.
Just throw it over the wall, so that way they wouldn't have a disconnect. Everybody wouldn't be going, "Oh, I'm having withdrawals."
Yeah. Well, thank you for stepping in.
Go, guys, and we're going to have one on it. All right.
On what? On what?
I'm working on two things that I'm going to have webinars on that are going to have quite a bit of documentation with it. I am writing some OAuth code.
Oh, cool.
And JSON code in classes. So I'm going to go over those, and everybody can have them as open. And I've been working with Google Maps, but since that young man put up MapQuest yesterday, I'm also going to work on classes for MapQuest.
Oh, that Canadian guy?
Yeah.
What's his name? Does he have a name besides that company thing?
I don't. Group Formatech. That's what I got him at. I don't know.
Yeah, but there's no name per se.
Yeah, he needs to. Whoever he is, he needs to pop up a name. But since MapQuest has kind of opened the doors on that, I'm going to write the classes to use MapQuest as well. And when I do it, and this is what I'm going to try to do with it, guys. I'm going to try to use a template control that has the map functionality in it and do all the class information with it. So in essence, what happens is the whole thing can be brought in under classes and control, and you've got MapQuest, and just drop it on your program and it's done. Fill in a few things that you want, for adding, changing or deleting or putting in geocodes or stuff like that for it. Because I'm doing that for the motorcycle program that I've been writing. I just need to get back after it, actually. So I'm working on stuff. I finally got some breathing room. There's no other questions. I have got to get packed so I can leave this afternoon for a weekend of discussions. Other than that, y'all be good or be good at it.
Oh, I missed that.
I've been busy.
Yeah.
Been busy. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thanks again, and for stepping in, and look forward to your new ones.
All right. We'll see you later, guys.
See you in February.
Yeah.
Take care.
Bye.
Have a good trip.
I will.